My name is Donald Kim, and I'm from Los Angeles, California, in the United States. And I'm currently doing the Global MBA program at ESSEC, specifically at the focus and major in luxury brand management. Well, so before my MBA, I was doing something completely, totally different, which I guess serves the purpose of an MBA. But I spent the last 4 years before the MBA working in Silicon Valley in San Francisco in tech. Not all in San Francisco, some in Los Angeles, some in Boston, but all for these Silicon Valley tech companies. I worked for Apple, Oracle, and a high growth startup called Fair. And my jobs at these companies were relatively the same, but with slight different nuances that were critical to the business need. But mainly I was doing business development or B2B sales regarding software solutions, but also selling of B2B services. Couple of things. I think one, I personally had been experiencing burnout in that industry because to be fair and to be honest, that tech industry was also not one that I was pursuing straight out of university. In fact, when I was in university, I was an international politics major. So I was looking to go into public service. So this had all kind of come to me like very in a serendipitous and last minute way as well. So, basically when I'm not fully into something that I was totally passionate about in the beginning with, I think eventually with Silicon Valley work being a lot of heavy work, I did experience burnout, number one. And number two, when I was thinking about what could I do, I realized I want to pursue my passion field in luxury. And I'm sure we'll get into this, but specifically luxury watches. And I felt at the time when all that came together, I was 27 years old. And I felt that was the right time to start a transition because I knew that the MBA would help me facilitate that career transition, but I needed also the ample amount of time to research the right schools, research the right programs, kind of see the feasibility of where I could end up after the MBA, but also receiving a lot of great advice from my mentors who worked in the luxury space at the time. So that timing was perfect to start thinking about and pursuing the MBA. So it's a really easy fact that I had a mentor. He was the director of North America for the LVMH brand, Berluti. And he ended up working for Louis as a regional director in Ireland, I believe, in the UK and Ireland after that. So he was a Frenchman. And so when I was telling him my thoughts, he easily recommended, well, you have to go to business school in France. His mother had gone to ESSEC. His father had gone to HEC or HEC, I guess. And he talked about ESSEC's luxury brand management program. And he mentioned how the program was only 1 year. So I could facilitate my transition that I was looking for fairly quickly. And it was as simple as that. He had recommended it. So I always kept it in the back of my mind. And then during the research, when I started to really crystallize what I want to do, and again, work with other mentors, it was just by natural process of elimination that ESSEC's program seemed to be the perfect fit for what I was looking for. ESSEC's MBA is a standard MBA. The degree is exactly the same. In fact, in the course will always be the same. You have your group of core business class experiences such as finance, marketing focuses, statistics. But then as I just mentioned, ESSEC's unique because it also offers certain specific majors. And so there's two majors that ESSEC Business School offers. There's the luxury brand management program, which I am a part of. And you have what's called the global digital strategy majors, which is more in line with the standard business practices and a standard MBA curriculum. And I mentioned that the MBA program is 1 year. So what this actually means is that essentially it's a 2-year, because I guess most MBA standards is 2 years. So essentially you're still experiencing a 2-year curriculum crammed into 1 year. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a kind of a spread out, nice 2-year MBA, but where maybe you're not working at the same time, or an MBA where it's going to be fast and furious and everything's really, again, compact, but you already make that transition in about a year. And so what I felt was unique about this program was the way that they were able to schedule in the core curriculum classes along with the major classes. So in my end, what a day would look like is because of the way that the curriculum was structured with the schedule that I just mentioned, essentially students would go to class every day in the week, Monday to Friday, And the work hours were like working hours. We would have class from 9 to 5, 9 to 4:30, sometimes from 9 to 7 in the evening. So what a standard day would look like is maybe from the first block, 9 to 12, you have your finance class. And then you have your lunch break. And then from 1 to 4:30, depending on what major, you might have a class focusing on your major. So a day for me could look like 9 to 12, I have my morning finance class. And then from 1 to 4:30, I would have a class specializing in wines and spirits, or a class specializing in fashion, or a class specializing in the history of luxury and how savoir-faire is tied to France. So it was, first of all, just, I believe, such a unique offering to have a school that offers majors like this. But to see the curriculum structure in a way was very a unique scenario, for sure. But that's just a brief overview of what the ESSEC logistics look like. I briefly mentioned it in, I think, 2 answers ago, but this was always a passion field of mine. So like luxury, but specifically watches. And so I pursued luxury mainly because I want to work with watches. At the time of during my MBA research, I didn't know in what capacity yet, right? Like I knew I wasn't going to be a watchmaker because I didn't have the craftsmanship skills necessary for that. So I always imagined there has to be some kind of corporate functions for these big watch brands. Of course, there is, it exists. But at the time, this is how I was thinking. And also because I had always been very exposed to the luxury world throughout my life, whether it's through my upbringing, because I did also grow up in 3 different countries other than the United States in a 7.5, 8-year period. And the place where I grew up, it was mainly East Asia. It was Hong Kong, Japan, and South Korea, our big luxury capitals and luxury centers, whose, I would dare say, mainstream culture, like luxury is a part of the mainstream culture in those countries at least. So I was exposed to luxury and the concept and the idea of luxury at a very young age. And so when I was thinking about, because I mentioned that the reason why maybe the burnout had happened was part of it because my mind was, in my heart was not 100% into the work that I was doing. So I thought to myself, well, what is a topic or a passion field where both my mind and my heart would be in it 100% together? So I got to the end, which was luxury watches. But then, and I kind of worked, I reverse engineered that thought process. And of course, luxury watches exist in the world of luxury. So that was the first kind of methodology that I was thinking about. The second was that from a business perspective, I always found the concept of the luxury business to be very interesting and unique, and unlike any other field or industry out there that we know in modern business, whether it's tech, finance, law, right? I think luxury is such a unique world of its own. And I think that in itself has also become mainstream too, because right now we see 3 key figures in the world vying for the richest man in the world. And of course, one of them is Bernard Arnault, who's competing against Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk of the world, 2 tech conglomerates. But basically you have a luxury entity now that is vying up for as one of the most luxurious, but also one of the most prolific industries compared to the main modern industries that we know today, which is tech. So I think there's such a unique way of running business in the luxury industry because customer experience is completely different. The way that customer interactions, the way that business models, the way that pricing, the way that money is earned, the way that marketing is all so different from my experience so far that I wanted to also just learn something completely new. I love to learn. So I felt that also diving into a completely new industry would allow me to learn something that's totally different and just another way of doing business. So I'm actually doing my MBA internship with ESSEC and with through ESSEC. So right now, just to give you a quick logistical point of view. So our classes, ESSEC's classes, although it's a 1-year program, ESSEC's classes end around May. So you have classwork from about August till May. And then from May till October, which is when we graduate, there are 2 things that students can do, 2 programs that students can do that they have to do as like a final project, quote unquote, to graduate. One is a consulting project or a field project or a capstone project. There's interchanging names for that depending on the European region. But basically a consulting project for a company or for a brand that is a partner of ESSEC. So we have these partners for both the strategy majors and the luxury majors. So partners this year in the luxury sector include Louis Vuitton, DFS, L'Oreal,
Audemars Piguet, just to name a few, Moet Hennessy, so some big names in the luxury world. So you can either do a consulting project for them, or you can pursue an MBA level internship. So right now I am living in Switzerland, Geneva, doing my MBA internship with one of the holy trinity watch brands in the world called Vacheron Constantin, which is also the oldest watchmaker in existence in the world today. Regarding the work, it's been interesting just for me personally, because I'm sure you're aware, Switzerland has their own very strict laws for who they give out visas to and who they allow to work. Especially, I guess it's harder for historical political reasons to grant Americans working visas. So the situation is that actually I have not received my visa yet. From the time of this call, my visa should be coming in this week, which means that I have not been able to fully work 100% at capacity at the office. So in the meantime, for the last month, I've been able to work at around 50% capacity, as Vacheron has given me work to do from home, where I can basically do everything that I can except for customer data related aspects. So just to give you an aspect, my job or my internship here at ESSEC is as a CRM coordinator, customer relationship management coordinator. So ultimately the big role of my job is managing and helping to lead customer acquisition strategies for the global markets of Vacheron, which means that I eventually will get visibility and access to the entire customer database and get to know who our customers are. But essentially, I need to know who our customers are in order to help Vacheron's marketing department, which is the department that I'm working under, craft new strategies to manage customer relations. But because it's not official yet without my visa, I'm not allowed to access those documents. So to answer your question, the internship, it's been partial up until this point. In the first month that we've started our internships, for me personally, it's been a partial experience, but it's still been amazing nonetheless, because this is something that I've been pursuing for a while. I have gotten to meet a lot of people within the company, even before I started, because I got the offer in December. And so in between then, I got to attend a lot of events. So I got to meet my future boss, for example, already. So we're already texting. I got to meet some of my coworkers. So it's still been a great, exciting experience, which is also just making me even more excited for when I can finally get my visa and start full time. So then how did ESSEC help me to get here? So being totally honest, I was able to acquire the meeting with Vacheron that got me the interview on my own. So I went to this event on my own that was scheduled even before I was even scheduled to come to ESSEC. It was even scheduled even before my MBA. And it was at that event that I met the CMO. I connected with him. He was then able to refer me to human resources department. We were able to find a match based on my Silicon Valley background in business development CRM, and I got the job that way. But where ESSEC came in was that I could not have had that conversation with the CMO. And I jokingly and cynically say that the CMO at the time could not have taken me seriously if I was not an ESSEC student, because he himself had went to a business school in France. He himself gives lectures back to his business school in France as like a renowned alumni. I'm talking about business, especially careers in the luxury sector. So the moment I told him that I was currently a student at ESSEC's Global MBA Luxury Brand Management Program, he knew exactly what that was. He knew exactly what that meant. So of course, then the first thing he asked me was, well, then what are you planning to do after that? Because he knew that I was trying to go into a career in luxury. So what that just proves is not only ESSEC's history, the heritage, and the quality that they've produced over the last 15, 16 years since their existence. But it's also, I think, the networking, the marketing, and the great alumni network that they have created, that you have CMOs of these big luxury conglomerates right now who are aware of the program. So I think ESSEC's, the work that they've done up to this point has been exceptional. And how they breed CEOs and how they breed and create and cultivate leaders, no doubt was the big factor that, although I was at the event on my own accord, it was the ESSEC pedigree that got me the opening to talk about everything that got me to this point in the first place. But the only reason why I did the MBA was to facilitate a complete career transition. So at the time, I knew that there were only two reasons based on, again, what I've heard from my mentors, and maybe I'm thinking about it very black and white.
but I think I've received general agreement on this. But I believe that one pursues an MBA for two reasons. One, you want to stay in the field and in the industry that you are in, but you just want to upgrade your role. Maybe you're stuck in a managerial role and you want to move up to a director role so you can ultimately, from a director role, maybe go up to a C-level executive. Or as I mentioned, you do it to facilitate a complete career transition that's totally separate from anything else. And so my mentor, my French mentor that I mentioned at the time, from Berluti, he's the one that mentioned to me that I would have to do an MBA because I'm coming from the tech world. So he was also one that affirmed and confirmed that thought process. So that being said, yes, it did reinvigorate me in a completely new way. Because one, I was excited just to do something new, because I had essentially, I guess, lived this professional life that became monotonous for me. Again, and in a field where I wasn't really happy working. Now, I know there are different generational thoughts about this, how some people might still stay in a job that they're not happy about, but they do it for certain reasons. But I think I am someone, and my family, my friends also agree that I am someone who is really successful when I am in a passion field, when I can combine my passions and my work. So the MBA reinvigorated me because one, I was in a period of time where I was excited to learn again, and essentially to go back to school and to learn something new. Two, I was reinvigorated because I knew this gave me an opportunity where I can kind of lower my defenses and just meet new people again in a totally equal setting. Like, when else was there going to be a setting where it'll feel like summer camp almost, right? Where we can just meet totally new people without having the awkwardness of thinking, oh, I have to go up to this person. No, we are all classmates again in an equal setting, and we're all going to become friends. So to be able to meet new people. Third, it reinvigorated me because I was also ready to, again, move to a new country and experience that aspect as well. Because I mentioned I had grown up abroad for 7.5 years in 3 different countries. But that's when I was a child. So there was this eagerness to experience living abroad as an adult. And fourth, it reinvigorated me because I knew it was going to get me a step closer to my passion field, which was working with luxury watches. And so for me at the time, I didn't know, what was going to happen. I didn't know what jobs were out there. I didn't know what would have been possible. But I think just the idea that this was one step closer to getting me there was really exciting, because that's one step closer than I've ever been before and up to that point. Well, I would even add educational there. I think despite the 1 year cram, as I mentioned, classwork was only August to May, but I learned so much about business, and just about certain things that did not need to apply in my previous job, such as like finance, marketing tactics. There are certain words and terminologies, right? And like phrases, I guess lingo that you would say in the business world that I never heard even once before my MBA. But now after my MBA, I'm hearing it everywhere. I'm like reading it in articles. I'm hearing my coworkers say it. So which I think just proves that there's just another level to business from what I was at, right? That I think work that someone starts right after university, undergrad, it's totally a different level than the work that you would do after a master's degree or after a secondary degree. So from an educational perspective, I learned so much just about business overall. On a personal level, and it's kind of tied to this, but I just feel like it's prepared me to be such a better worker because I feel like I've been upgraded to that next level. So it also means that I had to take things seriously, not just because that I'm older, but also because I'm also in a position where there's less room to fail, I believe, because at this point on, I'm strapping a rocket to my back and I want to get to the highest position I can get to in this industry. And so that means that every decision I have to make has to be a wise decision. Basically, I had to be much more mature in every way possible. So not only has an MBA prepared me by equipping me with the knowledge of what to expect and equipping me with the knowledge to succeed in this industry, but I think it's also accelerated my business and my professional maturity on what to expect and how to handle adversity and how to handle conflict in the real business world. And I can say that on a very personal level, starting with this visa process, right? Because I'm sure with someone with my background, this won't be my first time moving to another country for work purposes, and where I'll have to go through visa processes and government regulation and federal processes all over again. And although it's been tough, I think the MBA has prepared me to really withstand that and make the most out of this time. So instead of, wasting away a month, equipping me with the knowledge and the mindset to reach out to my company and ask for work to do up until this point, and working out a work package with them that I can do to keep myself busy. But also the way I phrase it is so that I can contribute to the company when I am, up and running, right? Because it's not just 1 month that I lost for myself, but it's also 1 month of contributions to you guys. So to let me to make that up. So without an MBA, there's no way that I don't think I could have, thought like that. So just upgrading me on both an educational and a professional level, and a personal level tied to that as well, because that increase in maturity and emotional intelligence, I would say, on the professional sense, has also stuck with me on my personal side as well too. It's a really good question, only because I was someone who, from the very beginning, knew exactly what he wanted to do with the MBA, right? Now, that being said, I have a lot of classmates who, when we started the MBA, still did not know where they wanted to end up. I've also had some classmates where, like me, they said, oh, I'm going to do this, but then ended up doing something completely different, and in such a better way for them too, because little did we know, and thanks to the MBA, it helped them discover this new field, this new industry that they may be, in a way, much more successful in compared to the industry that they wanted to be. So the advice I would give is that do not pressure yourself into thinking exactly, knowing that you have to know exactly what you want to do, but knowing that, at least figuring out clear and conscientious reasons for why you want to do this MBA, right? And I gave, again, 2 very arbitrary, I think, subjective reasons for why an MBA should be done. And I'm sure there's more, right? Depending on where you come from culturally and where your background is. But also, the essays are going to ask you this. Your business school applications are going to ask you the exact same question. I think you need to have a clear and conscientious reason for why you want to do an MBA. And what will help you form that is form your professional journey. Whether it's through journaling or whether it's through writing a short story through fiction, kind of craft your professional journey from when you graduated university and where you are until now. Read your own journey like a story, and maybe try to start to pinpoint the times in that journey where you start to maybe doubt about what you were doing or thinking about why you want to even do an MBA in the first place. After you mark those points, kind of maybe connect the dots, see, is there any common theme for those points in your life or those points in your professional career of what made you start to think about something else or look somewhere else. Because then when you can start to figure out and clarify what that is, then you want to think about, can an MBA then help you solve whatever that problem or whatever something that's missing is. So I would say, in a simple way, a lot of journaling, a lot of introspection, a lot of reflection, but really thinking about your own personal journey, your professional journey, in that way.